So I'm going to ask you 3 very simple questions, and I'm not going to give you any context for the questions. The questions are to choose the statement that is true for you right now in this moment. And I would encourage you to just choose the one that is right for you without thinking about it or which is the right answer or any of that. So the first question, we'll start with an easy one. Choose the statement that is true for you right now. I am for peace. I am against peace. I am for peace. I am against peace. Question 2. Choose the statement that is true for you right now. I am for war. I am against war. I am for war. I am against war. Now, the third question, I can't actually ask it until we know what your answer to the second question is. So that's what we're going to do today in this video, and that will determine whether you have this particular blind spot. And if you do, this is going to completely open your mind and perspective to choose another one where you will be more in command of your reality. That's what we're doing today. My name is Hedley, and if you are here, you are in the right place, because this is where we learn all about I Am and how to use I Am to change your life for the better. I Am is the great transformer, and it will transform your life, often in ways that we didn't expect. If you'd like to know more about me, you'll find those details in the box below this video. And until the end of March, because March is my birthday month, I'm offering 50% off on my products, including my course, Recreate a Specific Person, my book, I Am Money, and the other course that I have, I Am the One, which is the self-concept course, and the I Am Masterclass. You'll find all of those details in the box below this video as well. And if you are enjoying my channel and finding these videos useful, please do press that subscribe button. That would be appreciated. Okay, let's get into it. So I created this little quiz for myself when I was trying to figure out how my reality was showing up the way it was, because I couldn't understand it. And then I did this little quiz for myself. I actually wrote it out exactly as I'm doing it with you guys. And I realized that I had this blind spot that I wasn't aware of until I actually saw it on paper. So I'll share with you the third question in a moment, but I just wanted to give you some context around it, because what we are seeing in reality with this war in the Middle East, here in Australia, we are quite removed from everything, and yet we are very much feeling the effects of this already, like most of the world. So petrol prices here have skyrocketed to prices that I've never seen in my lifetime. And also my mum and my stepdad are traveling, and it affected their flights, and it cost them a lot of money to replace those flights because they were flying through the Middle East right at the time when the war kicked off. So, the impact of this is very much being felt. I wanted to understand where that might be coming from in my consciousness. Obviously, this is not something that I would be choosing to be seeing over again and again. I mean, this stuff just repeats and repeats and repeats. We all know this story. We all know this narrative. We know the narrative of war. So I really wanted to get to the depth of where this might be coming from in my consciousness. Before I get into the explanation, let's come back to the basics, which is always a good place to start, and I haven't started here for a while. So consciousness is the one and only reality. Consciousness is the one and only reality. And reality that we are seeing out there is the reflection of consciousness. It's the solidified form of our consciousness. So if there is war in reality, it must come from consciousness. Now, when we're working with consciousness, we're working with states, infinite potentials, infinite states, okay? And with every state, with every potential is an equal opposite of that state. So it's a positive, negative. There is always a positive and a negative. There's always a north and a south. This reality is a reality of contrasting states. So if I'm seeing war in my reality, I know that there is a contrasting state to that. And the key is to be neutral in the choosing of that state. And that's how we use I Am. Obviously, that's what I talk a lot about here on my channel. So while peace and war are opposing states, they're positive and negative, to be for peace and against war are not opposites. And this is where the blind spot lives. You cannot have two double positives or two double negatives. So to be for peace is a double positive, and to be against war is a double negative. And those two don't work. You can only have a positive and a negative. So that's where these three questions have come from, is me trying to figure out what is the opposite of these statements. You can't get to the third question without understanding the second question. So if your answer was I am for peace in question number 1, then you are for peace. Okay? If you answered in the second question that you are against war, then you have the blind spot. And that's the blind spot that I had. By bringing this blind spot into the light and into awareness means you are now in command of the blind spot, and you are in command of your consciousness, which is really cool. So in order to understand where this blind spot happens, we have to go to the etymology. So we're going to look at the etymology of for and against. So for this etymology, I'm just going to read the relevant ones because it's quite detailed. So the etymology for FOR, is Old English, before, in the presence of, on account of, in place of, before, in front of. This is actually important. So the word for means in front of, before. Be means I am for. Okay, so I am for. I am the one before. So if you are for peace, you are in front of peace, you are before peace, you come forward before peace, if that makes sense. It's the one before. Okay? Now, when we look at the word against, I'm going to put the word up here, and I want you to look at that word. Notice this word and think about what this word is saying in relation to something that you are against. It has the word again in it. And the ST is a word forming element that is actually applied to words to create finality. Okay, so against, it means whatever you are against, you will see against until you shift out of this state of being against something. So this word against is a really fascinating word. In opposition to, adverse, hostile, in the opposite direction, to see and again. Interestingly, it means in front of as well, but also so as to meet again. That which you are against, you are so to meet again and again and again and again and again. And that cannot change as long as you're in the frequency of against. And this was such a wake up for me because I realized that I am actually against a lot of things, in particular war. So if I'm wondering, why am I seeing war in my reality? Well, if I'm against it, then guess what? That's something that I'm going to meet with again and again and again until I get myself out of the frequency of being against it. And this is where that question number 2 is really challenging, is because we can't get to number 3 without answering this question correctly. And by correctly, I mean the answer is I am for war. That is the correct answer that's going to move us out of this state. We have not been taught to be for war. We've all been taught to be against war. We've actually been taught the frequency that is going to guarantee war happens again and again and again by simply being against it, in opposition with it, adverse to it. That ensures we will so meet with it again and again and again. So the word for is the one that comes before the thing. That's the before, that's the in front of. Now, what is in front of? It's I am. The one observing is the one in front. And who is the one observing? That's I am. So if you're looking at war or peace or anything in your reality, the one that comes before reality is the one observing it. That's your name. You're the one that comes before reality. And the one that comes before you is I am. So we're kind of working our way backwards in order to work our way forward. Often this work is in reverse and back to front, and that's why it can be confusing at times. So if you are confused, do not worry. That's part of this process because our brains have not been taught this. We've been taught the opposite of this work. It is actually very simple. It's first, second, and third person. I am is first person, you are second person, third person is your reality. And in order to get in command of reality, we have to go back to first person, which is I am. And then we get to choose the commands according to what we would like to see. We cannot do that if we are against something. So question number 1, I am for peace. Question number 2 becomes I am for war. Now, if you are for peace and you are for war, you are now neutral because you have a positive and a negative. And that's what brings us to question number 3. So if I am for peace and I am for war, which of these statements is true for you? I am choosing I am for peace. And notice what happens in your body as you make that choice and claim that statement, I am for peace. Notice how you're no longer against anything. You're no longer resisting anything. You're not against war. You're not resisting war. You're making a conscious choice from a neutral place, which is a direct opposite. And that is what then allows you to see peace be reflected back. So I want this video to be an invitation for you to look at your life and ask yourself, what am I against? Am I against a person? Am I against an organization? Am I against something? And if you are, go through this process in relation to that thing, which means you have to identify the opposite state to that thing. So if you are against a person, you must choose that I am for this person. Now that you're for them, you get to choose another state, another person. You do not get to choose another reality as long as you are against that reality. As long as you are against something or someone, then so must you meet that person or that thing again and again and again and again and again and again and again until we wake up from this blind spot. You cannot be against anything. You have to be for everything, and then you get complete choice over everything. But anything you are against, that's where we get stuck. And that's where we get into that cycle of just repeating history over and over and over. And that's what we're doing with war. That doesn't mean it has to continue. At some point, we get to wake up from this dream, but that takes kind of looking at our consciousness and investigating our consciousness and going, okay, hang on a second. I know that I'm the cause and creator of my reality. I'm seeing war. I don't want to be seeing war. Why am I seeing it? What's going on in here? And is there a blind spot? Oh, guess what? There is. I'm against the thing that I'm looking at. No wonder I keep seeing it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. I got to be for that thing. Now that I'm for that thing, I now come before that thing. I'm in my infinite I amness. I'm in the one that comes before it. And if I'm in the one that comes before it, I'm now in command of it, and I get to choose another potential that I'm for. I'm for this person over here, or I'm for this state over here, I'm for this opportunity over here, I'm for this home over here, I'm for this job over here, I'm for this person over here. For. We want to be for everything, and that's how you get to be in command of everything. So you can take this little quiz, apply it to anything in your life. I've done it for a bunch of things now, and I realized that I was actually against more than I thought I was. I was like, oh shit, I'm actually against that. All right, I'm for that, and now that I'm for that, I'm choosing this instead. So to be for something is to be in front of it, to be in command of it, to be the one that gets to choose another potential. Infinite potentials, all of them are available for you, and you are in front of all of them. We have to be for everything. It's 4:30. I'm going to take my girl for a walk, but have fun with that one. Have a beautiful week. Stay in I am. Stay before everything. You're the infinite commander, so enjoy it. And let's wrap this thing up and get the petrol prices down so we can all relax a little bit. We can do it. We've done it before. All right. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.